Leveling weapons in the First Descendant is a grind, no sugarcoating it. The community has been scouting the game for the best weapon XP farms, and a few spots are getting all the attention. The Bunny Cave, the Asylum, Vesper's Moonlight Lake Void Fragment Mission, the Fortress Defense Line Void Fragment Mission, and Sterile Lands Spec Ops are being hyped as the top weapon XP farms, with claims that you can level a weapon from 1 to 40 in just as little as 18 minutes. Wow, that's 103,000 XP per minute. Sounds amazing, right? I gotta see this to believe it. So I put them to the test, and I brought a timer. Spoiler, some of these are hot and some of them are, well, not so much. You wanna know which ones are which? Well, stick around because we're gonna go through them all. And I put together a step-by-step guide to help you level fast and efficiently, coming out the other side with the resources you need to progress your character to the next level.
Makes it exciting!
So here's the deal. Ultimate weapons require at least 8 crystallization catalysts and an energy activator to fully level up. The kicker is every time you apply a catalyst, you have to grind your weapon back up to level 40. Naturally, the community has dug up the fastest XP farms to get the job done. A decent rate, I gotta say, is about 46,420 XP per minute, meaning you can hit level 40 in about 40 minutes. That's an average of 1 level per minute. That wouldn't be bad, right? Well, until you realize you need to do that 8 more times for full leveling. Now you're looking at 5 hours and 20 minutes of jumping up and down in a cave. Still feeling pumped? Okay, there's 22 ultimate weapons. Let's just say you're gonna focus on 11 of them, the good ones. You got the Thunder Cage, Greg's Reversed Fate, the Nazi, the Perforator, the Executor, the Python, the Enduring Legacy, the Secret Garden, Afterglow Sword, Piercing Light, and the Fallen Hope. And even if you limit yourself to just these, you're staring down the barrel of 60 hours of grinding. That's the highway to Burnout Lane. But the real issue isn't just the time sink. It's that none of these farming activities are actually contributing to the materials you need to progress, or the rare materials for crafting catalysts. So while you might save some time by finding a faster XP farm, you'll spend that time saved right back farming for catalyst materials. And by the way, it takes 7 hours to craft a catalyst, which is a huge time gate. There's no shortcut around that unless you pay for it with real dollars. Reducing the time you spend leveling your weapons is still worth it, I agree. So I tested these best weapon XP farms, those ones that promise to get you to level 40 in 18 minutes, and I'm here to give you the breakdown. Some are efficient, others not so much. And while some of these farms require specific descendants and builds, it'd be a real bummer to go through all of that hassle just to find out the farm was, well, meh. Let's save you some time, effort, and most importantly, a buttload of gold. So let's get into it.
Let's do this!
I ran these tests multiple times over and over again to figure out what the deal is, and I put it all together on a spreadsheet. But this is gonna hurt your eyes, so I got something better for you. Ah, there we go. This one's much better to look at. You're also able to download this. I will have links down below. Okay, so the method I bring you is a blended method. The idea of this recommendation is to make the juice worth the squeeze, so that you're not only getting the XP on your weapon, you're doing it as fast as possible while farming the materials you need for your catalysts. So this is gonna have a total of 4 activities. It's gonna take you 56 minutes approximately to do that. Now, the time is definitely dependent on your team composition. I did all of this testing in public lobbies. You're gonna come out with approximately 2 million in XP per hour. You're gonna get 2.5 million in gold and about 45,000 in Kuiper per hour, which isn't a lot. You're also gonna get 18 macromolecule biogels. That's a pretty solid number there. And then you're gonna get 22 murky energy residues, 29 advanced neural circuits on average, and 25 amorphous patterns if you complete all of the activities from front to back. Remember to make sure you have your memory unit with firearm proficiency gain modifier on it. Even if that breaks your build, that's really important for this process. For step 1, you're gonna take on the Forgottens, which is in Sterile Land, and you're gonna come out with 7.5 levels. You can go as fast as 3.5 minutes with a really good bunny team. And the reason why this is first is because you're gonna get those murky energy residues that you need to craft your next catalyst. Then you're gonna take on the Chapel, which is an Echo Swamp. You're gonna pull out 5 levels from this. Remember, that doesn't sound like a lot, but as you climb up in levels, those levels require more XP to get. And that's going to take you about 5 minutes to do. And you're going to come out with macromolecule biogels, about 18 of those. And then you're going to take on the special ops in sterile land. So step 3, you're going to do 3 times. That's because sterile land spec ops is the best weapon XP farm in the game. From all of my testing, this was the best one. The juice is definitely worth the squeeze. There's lots of action. It goes really fast. You don't need to make another Descendant. Everybody has a bunny for their farming, and you're getting gold and Kuiper, amorphous patterns, not to mention those marks for arrests. So you can do spec ops 3 times. You're gonna come out with 22.5 levels. It's gonna take you about 33 minutes, and that should be real consistent there. So whatever levels you have left, you wanna finish in the White Knight Gulch Outskirts mission. And with this setup, you should be around 2.5 levels or so, give or take. And then, which means you're gonna spend about 11 minutes on this mission, and that's gonna get you about 29 advanced neural circuits, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And you're also gonna be getting gold. And what's really cool about this strategy is that all you need is 1 Descendant for all 4 steps. Bunny is the best because she doesn't rely on any weapons. So if you're leveling up a weapon that you don't want to be shooting or that doesn't synergize with your bunny, it won't matter. It might slow her down a little bit, but your survival is gonna be all the same because she doesn't need to stop and shoot it. On top of that, it doesn't matter what your team composition really is, she can still stand on her own. So I do want you to know that for the missions like Forgotten's and the Chapel, in those figures and in the time that I have included there, I have removed the 50% weapon XP event. So if you use this while that XP event is active, which I believe it's running for 2 weeks, then your results are gonna be a little bit faster, which in the end means you're gonna spend less time in the outskirts. So at the very bottom, what I did is include the figures for the other best XP farms in the game in case you wanted to work your way around.
Let's do this!
And now we're gonna review each and one of these. And I'm gonna share my thoughts on them, but I wanna get down to the nuts and bolts and experience these like the average Joe. So I'm not gonna be using paid XP boosters. I'm gonna take the most effective tactic and approach as what's being shared around the community. I'll be referencing those who first presented the strategies. If there is one known, like a few of these are coming from Moxie's weapon XP farm video, and comparing my results against what he mentioned he was able to do. And the reason why I wanted to do it this way is because I know it can be really frustrating when somebody says that they can level up their weapon from 1 to 40 in like 15 minutes, and you do it and it takes you an hour. And you're like, what's wrong with me? I really suck at this game. They must be gods. Hopefully this just helps put things into perspective. So let's get into it. So we have the Void Fragment at Vesper's Moonlight Lake. There's several different characters you can use to knock this one out, and Volby's Tidal Wave build is one of them. Okay, what you're seeing here is just a roll-up of the data from my spreadsheet. So same mission, so I'm gonna use this as a guide here. For Moonlight Lake, I use Volby, and that's a non-attribute Void mission. So the idea is basically to activate, kill a bunch of enemies, and then restart as fast as possible. This was demonstrated in Moxie's video, but one of the cool things about it is that you can launch your water projectile, and by the time it hits the Void Fragment, you can abort in that time, and it'll reactivate the event, making it all pretty seamless from your abort to reactivation. So I've used Ultimate Descendants for this, and with very optimized builds. I did not have XP boosters for most of these tests, but I did do testing with XP boosters. We'll talk about that in a moment. And one of the things that's critical is that I was running the memory unit with a God rolled or ultimate tier firearm XP modifier. That's critical. I recommend you put that on anytime you're farming for weapon XP. I ran a clean run on every single one. What I mean by that is I had a weapon that was at level 1, and I did the activity until I reached level 40 without interruption. On top of that, I ran a timer, and then I'm comparing that to what the claimed XP per minute or time is for that activity. And then I'm showing the difference. When you're taking on a new XP activity, of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but these aren't that challenging. It only takes a few rounds before you get into this rhythm. Of course, I had errors. Those contributed to a minimum amount of time difference. We're talking seconds here, not minutes. So with an optimal Volby build, following the recommended strategy, it took me over 45 minutes to level a single weapon to level 40. That's just shy of 41,000 XP per minute. It said that you can do this one in 22 minutes, which is 84,400 XP per minute compared to what I'm getting, which is 40,809 XP per minute. That is over 2 times faster than what I did it at. So to get close to that number, I'd have to purchase an XP booster, but that's only going to be 30% more XP. So for those who are able to do this in 22 minutes, I bow to the masters. But I guess for the rest of us average Joes, it's probably going to be closer to what I demonstrated. For me in my testing, this took 45 minutes. I was pretty darn good at it, and it was extremely boring. Would I do it again? No, I wouldn't do it again. I hated every minute of it. I feel like it was a waste of time. I hate having to abort a mission to get XP, and I was getting no additional resources from this activity. It was just XP. And I knew that was going to be the case even before I did it, but the reason why I wanted to actually review these methods are because they require you to create specific builds, and I had to spend to level up mods that I wasn't using on Balbi just so I can do this farm. And I'm sure eventually I would have leveled those up, but if you're going around trying all of these, you just want to know if the juice is going to be worth your squeeze. And for me, this one's definitely not worth it. As a side note, of course, you can do these in group, and it's possible that you can get more XP and clear it even faster. Next, let's talk about the bunny cave. This is in Fortress and then Fallen Ark, and you're looking at this void frag. A lot of people stand by this one, and I'm probably gonna ruffle a few feathers here. I don't mean to upset anybody about this farm. I've done it before. I know what it can do. So I used my really good bunny build, and all I did was take off my high voltage. Otherwise, it's just jump up and down, jump up and down. Again, I started with a clean test, so I started at level 1 on a weapon and ran it until I hit level 40. I did this multiple times to ensure I was getting quality results. And I was also running the same God rolled firearm XP on my external component. But for this one, I did one thing different, and that is that I turned the map into public. So on all the other tests, I did them private and solo as they were recommended. Also, I did that because it's really hard to coordinate that you're actually farming XP with a random in a public map. These all come down to the second when you're trying to farm XP. So if somebody comes in, ruins your strategy, and then leaves, that could set you back quite a bit. So I was avoiding that on all of the others. On this one, people say they can do it in about 35 minutes. I didn't have such luck. In fact, on this one, it took me 64 minutes to get it done. And during that time, people were coming and going. So there was a few minutes where I was running it solo, and then sometimes there was 2 of us, and then sometimes there was 4 of us, because it comes up blended. And I think this is realistic. If you don't have a friends list and you need to level up your weapons, then you're just gonna go there and hope there's other people there too. So 64 minutes ends up being about 29,000 XP per minute. I do believe this time can get faster. This is the data I have. Ooh, but 35 minutes, that's a stretch. That's 53,000 XP per minute. And that would be amazing, to tell you the truth. But I'm just not getting that. And to be honest with you, I've done this several times since the game was launched, and I've never done that. Driving that time down by over 30 minutes would be sensational, incredible. So again, I tip my hat to the masters. If you're getting 35 minutes, well done. The numbers aside, I gotta say, this is probably the worst farm of them all when it comes to being incredibly boring and mundane. And this is the perfect example of why the game needs to be fixed on the XP front. Standing in a cave, jumping up and down for 30, 45, 60 minutes, whatever you wanna call it. Multiply that by 8 for the amount of catalyst you need on your weapon, and then by 11 for all the ultimate weapons you're gonna bring into here. Maybe up to 22, and some people are also using this to level up their descendants. I did this several times to test, and it's absolutely dreadful. I was completely bored. My recommendation is just to stay away from the bunny cave. Next, let's talk about the Asylum. So the Asylum is a really good farm altogether, mostly for character XP farming. But it's decent when it comes to missions for leveling your weapons. So I ran the Asylum back to back to back. As soon as the mission ended, I hit restart the mission. So there was some downtime. I accounted for that because that's reality. With that included, I got from level 1 to 40 in 47 minutes. That's 39,500 XP per minute. which is really good. And what's awesome about this one is you're also getting patterns and gold and Kuiper and other goodies. So the claim time out there on this one is a little over 32 minutes, which is 56,000 XP per minute. That's a huge difference between what I got and what's being claimed, but I think I can account for this. I think that claim time is just the runtime, not counting matchmaking with 4 bunnies, and it was a friends list. So yeah, I do think this could be down to 32 minutes of just runtime on a really efficient team. If you're like me and you're just generally matchmaking, then you're probably going to be more like 47 minutes. Also, I want you to know that these results are with the plus 50% XP weapon XP event. So currently right now, the devs are running an event that is rewarding you with an extra 50% XP for any infiltration mission. In the guide I have that you can download, I backed out the figures from the XP event. And then we have sterile lands, the special operations. So started with level 1, ended with level 40. On this one, I ran a bunny build with high voltage, and then I left as soon as I hit level 40, which took about 51 minutes, and that's about 36,400 XP per minute. That's about pretty average. Okay, and then the Fortress Defense line. This one, you're gonna need a Biessa Cold Snap build. Luckily, my Biessa is fully leveled up. All I needed to do was level up her transmod. I also did this one multiple times. So the time on this one is 18 minutes from level 1 to 40. That's crazy. That's 103,000 XP per minute. Okay, so I needed to see if I could do this. And I tried really hard because 18 minutes is really fast. But I just couldn't do it. It took me 38 minutes. And I was running that firearm XP modifier on my external component. Again, no XP boosters. And I was running it solo the whole time. I got really efficient at this, layering those blizzards. I had maximum range, really good power. I couldn't get anywhere close to 18 minutes. So my time at 38 minutes was 48,863 XP per minute compared to the 103,156 XP per minute. So this one kind of had me thinking, okay, maybe that delta was with an XP booster. Maybe that XP booster is putting out more than I think it is. So I went to the store and I purchased an XP booster just for the sake of these tests. And I did it again. This time, instead of taking 38 minutes, it took me 35.5 minutes. So that was an improvement at 52,304,000 XP per minute instead of the 48,863 XP per minute I had before. Still 103,000. I'm still very far away from that. That's with 30% more XP that I paid for on top of the modifier and on top of the recommended strategy. Yeah, so 1 to 40 in 35.5 minutes is what I got with the XP booster, and I bow to the masters. And I just got to say, it's just not worth my time. And to be frank with you, even at 18 minutes, still not worth my time. I really don't enjoy the fact that I'm not getting any additional resources out of these activities. It feels like such a waste of time. And then I'm gonna have to do this potentially 8 more times on that same weapon. 5 hours of this same activity over and over again is it's ludicrous. No way I could recommend this to you guys. And I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize is that your leveling experience on the front end of your levels happens faster than on the back end of your levels. For example, to go from level 1 to 2 is only going to cost you a cumulative of 4,000 in experience points. To go from level 39 to 40 is going to cost you 95,700. That's a big difference. So if somebody goes in with a brand new weapon and just spends like 5 or 10 minutes and says, oh my God, I got 15 levels. Well, yeah, those 15 levels only required 245,300 in experience points. Remember, you need over 1.85 million in experience on that weapon in order to get it from level 1 all the way to level 40.
Let's do this!
Okay, I just got to take a moment to have some real talk. So weapon XP in this game, it's a joke. It's just really, really bad. So although we got some formulas here to help you manage the pain, there's still a lot of pain to be managed. This has to be fixed. What's really interesting is that you would think with the 50% XP boost that missions would come out on top, and they don't. Doing nothing but the Asylum, the best mission for XP, with the additional 50% XP still took 47 minutes. I would have to do that 8 more times to level up my weapon. And then there's 11 other ultimates that I would want potentially, of course, there's no requirements here, but that's just nasty. So weapon XP is far from being good, and they need to fix that as soon as possible. And it needs to be better than the current XP bonus. And the best way to handle it is simply more enemies to kill. Those horde modes, that plus a little bit more XP per minute in the calculations will probably do the trick. There is talk of them improving the larger outposts so those turn into horde modes, but I would like to have my XP activities not be focused in on a single mission or activity. This game feels like a job right now. It feels like it's a lot of work. I feel like all we're doing is grinding and not playing the game. And so making sure our XP experience is balanced across all of the activities is part of making this a better experience. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this guide helps. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
One and only.
And this was another episode of The First Descendant. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The First Descendant. And if you like videos like this, check out the one I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy or download anything for The First Descendant, be sure to use Tux's creator code to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.